Повеселимся сейчас.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Поскольку играл, у меня постоянно, короче... Музыку, наверное, в жопу. Общая громкость. Надеюсь, меня слышно. А то вдруг сильно громко. Да. Ну...
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Не. Кому это надо?
Following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Пошел он с такими претензиями. Ну, там есть проход. Как туда попасть?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something.
Я тебе не доверяю. Я тебе доверялся пару раз. Ты меня убил, как минимум дважды.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Конечно. Я дальтоник, просто ты не знал.
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley, oh thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think
Бля, тупо за соседней.
Here, let me show you.
Что за хуйня? Просто слышу, как кто-то скребется ко мне в... Что за хуйня, блядь? Страшный пиздец. Это что сейчас, блядь, я запустил, я не...
What do we want? What are we looking for?
Ай, блин, я к этому уже приходил.
Here, yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? No, wait. Where are you going? If we just stay right here, right... Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
В прошлый раз, когда я проходил, я, короче, над ним издевался и иногда возвращался в эту комнату.
No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Если тебе так нравится, почему мы сразу из этой комнаты не начали?
Stanley, let's go back to the... My God. Is this really how much you dislike my game?
Нет, я хочу посмотреть еще концовочки. У тебя самая лучшая игра вообще реально в мире. Да блин, как? Сколько можно? Я не знаю, сколько там в этой комнате оставаться надо. Наконец-то. Я знаю, что есть, короче, какая-то концовочка в красной комнате. Она у меня постоянно баговала, когда я играл на пиратке. Надо зайти в красную дверь. Он спросит у тебя. Рассказчик спросит. О, ты можешь меня слушать? Давай-ка еще раз попробуем. Зайди в красную дверь. Заходишь в синюю, и на этом игра вылетает. Все. Это все.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ну ладно, пора бы его и послушать.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Че это? Прикольно. Веселая штука.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
Так думаешь, я пойду в другую сторону. Я еще дальше пойду, не? Ладно, понял.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see, we were down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Чего, блядь? Чего, блядь? Ты уверен? Подумай еще раз. По-моему, ты меня в какие-то дебри, блядь, заводишь.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now.
Уволен.
Story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time...
Не, я опять сюда приду. Тут интересно.
From the top.
Так, мы вернулись, да? В смысле, это концовка? Да?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Это где? Угу.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Не, я ничего не делал.
Somewhere or a... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the...
А я хочу туда зайти. Офигеть. Ну пошлите искать. Бля, это что за дверь? Бля. Охрененно. Бля, еще дверь. Что за дверь? О, я что-то нашел. Что-то светится. Белая комната. Бля, я что-то нашел. Ну ладно.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Бля. А там можно было, интересно, что-то найти? Сейчас, наверное, пиздец, все сломалось.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed
Давай
anything?
проверим. Всякое может быть. Опа. Ну тут есть дверка. Открой мне вот эту, я хочу туда зайти. Там много дверек, две.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Это как человек, который не хочет спрашивать дорогу. Ты, блядь, куда меня
Now
завел?
this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
Дверь пропала. Верни дверь. Да, я помню, в офисе меня должна была сбить машина.
How about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh no, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square,
В смысле? Я лично доволен.
not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
То есть это сейчас прям перезапуск или опять перезапуск видеосюжета?
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stenli Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
По-моему... Чего?
No, no, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Ладно. Полосочка.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
О,
Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Sure where I was going with all that.
По-моему, линия
I think
потерялась.
what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Заебись. Я уже загляну в каждый угол, посмотрю, есть ли еще где история. По-моему, я помню, что тут какая-то хрень была с тем, что, типа, если вот так делаешь... А? Вот оно. Вот оно. А? А. Типа, ну что, пока выйти, а? Ну чего вы-то?
Wait, Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Это же папоротник. Или назад. Ну ладно.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no, no. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Ага. Прикольно. Ну, пошли в другую дверку. О.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Давай. Люблю ходить не по правилам.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley,
Я хочу драконов.
I'm ready for it.
Дай мне дракона. Пылающего огнем.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms.
В смысле, с монстрами я бы хотел.
Should be fine.
Ты сам решил использовать эту полосу, а теперь она с ума сходит. О, она спряталась. О.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Да, да, да.
We mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now,
То есть это все концовки. Это все концовки, что есть.
Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this
То есть
thing.
это первые концовки. Из первой концовки мы можем попасть сюда. Так? Я не понимаю. Или это просто надписи на стене?
I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Не знаю.
So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do happen to have...
Это что было? Это что, блядь, сейчас было? Ай.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Я типа дошел до того места, что мне надо было или нет?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Всегда хожу не направленную дверь.
Employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business. Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Вот это плохая лестница. О. Ладно.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Можно тут постоять, почилить, нормально. Если сюда можно зайти, то тут что-то есть.
There was nothing here. No choice to make.
Я не верю, что тут ничего нет. Говори, что хочешь. Не. Тут закрой дверь.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Да, я люблю ничего не делать. Вот сейчас же я играю в игру.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Тебя позлить хочу. Может, ты меня выгонишь отсюда в какой-то момент, типа, пошел в жопу пинком.
If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever.
Но если сюда можно зайти, получается, что что-то есть. Логика.
This is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid.
Он попал вот так по семейным связям. Настолько он был тупым.
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Еще у Стэнли зависимость от наркотиков. Да.
I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now.
Ты мертв.
You got to this broom closet,
Что вот
explored it a bit, and were
провел
just
по нему,
about
потом
to
собрался
leave
выйти, раз
nothing
ничего не
here,
тогда
when a
какой-то
physical
физический.
melody of some sort shut down your central nervous system, and you collapsed on the keyboard.
Да, именно так.
Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer.
Не.
Sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Типа это все? Я не верю. Если я выйду из чулана и зайду в него обратно. Как свести с ума...
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who... You too? An entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to.
Рыба-грибок.
Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Не-не, я обратно. Тут круто. Чуланчик. Блин, это круто. Ну, мне понравилось.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ну ладно. Что-то тут мало действий. Что-то я это не...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. Of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Тут стопудово что-то есть. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood 2845.
Как я его заебал. Ну тут есть что-нибудь еще, не? Тут дверь какая-то скрытая. Не дверь.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Не. Что ты мне еще скажешь? Я мудак, по-моему, какой-то просто. Ладно, что ты мне тут покажешь? Ой, тут темно. О, ничего себе. Тут что-то... Где я? Ну, тут что-то должно быть. Блин, там темно, ни хрена не видно. Ни хрена не вижу. Блять. Сука. Там же что-то есть. Если туда можно зайти. И прыгнуть не могу. И присесть не могу. Ну, двигайся хоть куда-нибудь. Ай. Черный экран, бля. Я не хочу нажимать на эту кнопку. Это какая-то концовка уже видела. Я хочу что-то еще. Куда-нибудь зайти хочу. Выйти! Не выйти. Кстати, а если бы я смог выйти? Вдруг бы я смог выйти? А? Там свет включился. На смекалочке тупо.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him?
Wow.
This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word
Помечник
escape,
на самом деле в конце этого коридора Стэнли ждала жесткая
at the end of
смерть.
this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Неплохая
The door
провокация.
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Блин, как страшно эта хрень открылась. Ну что это реально была смерть? О.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned
Как вырвать глаза слепому? Чё так жестко-то?
to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Вау.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Чего? Офигенно же.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Воу. А? Warzone. Ой, я тут не был. Туда можно попасть? Если есть, значит можно. Сообщение Мартину. Так, ладно. То есть это ограничение времени, туда гулять, что ли? О, круто. Блин, я тут тоже не был. Как много всего. Рычаги. Как много всего. Кажись, таймер кончился. И игра к хуям зависла. Это очень больно по ушам долбит. Я ничего сделать не могу. Заебись, поиграл. Ну эта игра работает. Я не понимаю, что происходит. Она поломалась? Я сломал игру. Пиздец. Что делать? Альт F4? Даже не помогло, чего? Написано нет проблемы, типа игра работает нормально. Пиздец, обидненько. Ну ладно, сейчас еще раз запустим. Обидная хрень, что-то произошло. Пиздец. То есть проходишь ты такую игру, проходишь, тут плац, у тебя вылетает хуям. Бля. Стэнли, ты подвел меня. Ты меня подставил. Как тебе не стыдно, а?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
У меня есть еще одна идейка, что можно сделать.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Да. Да, я гений просто. На что я притрассчитывал? Ладно, сейчас попробуем другую идею. Сейчас максимум своего киберспортивного навыка покажу. Мы приземлимся на платформу. Ой, приземлимся на мостик. И с мостика уже прыгнем. А? Это же гениально, да? Типа там на абажурчику пойдем. Все продумано, все идеально, я в этом уверен. Просто, ну, невозможно по-другому. Кто бы сомневался. Я так говорю, как будто у меня уже получилось. Сука, завались, я говорю, нахуй. Пиздец он пиздец.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else.
Сейчас смотрите, гениальный план. Гениально сейчас сделаем.
Story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really?
Опа.
I was in the middle of something.
Поняли, да?
Zero consideration for others. Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen? But in his eagerness to prove that no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley from the platform and plunged to his death.
Я не прыгну с платформы.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Можно приземлиться еще на грузовик. Я поверил, что у меня получилось. Что за подстава?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door.
Еще раз, да, пацаны? Вот, сурово. Сурово. Сурово, но справедливо. Сейчас мне надо... Извиняюсь за глюки.
Directions. It's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ебать, там зеленый экран, сейчас мне показался, я обосрался. Главное, он не синий был. Как спуститься? Как спуститься?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else can be
Грузовик.
but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. What? Really?
Вопа.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced? But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the
Прыжок не работает. Мне достижение за эту хуйню дали.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Просто постоянный суицид. Дайте достижение.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
В смысле? Этого раньше не было. Что случилось?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Короче, у меня есть идея, возможно, надо постоять на этой платформе, которая двигается, и в какой-то момент тебя рассказчик опустит вниз.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible.
Либо есть реально спуск вниз, и я его тупо не вижу. Угу. Угу.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Я могу приседать.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
А я не могу упасть. Ладно. Хочу вниз. Суки. Пустите вниз. Сука. Сколько раз за это время я сдохл.
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ладно, ладно, я тебя понял. Вниз прыгнуть нельзя. О.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Я, по-моему, ломаю игру все больше с каждым своей смертью, блядь.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Кстати, а куда реально делись все мои работники?
Stanley felt lightheaded,
Мои работники, мои
butterflies
коллеги.
in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Сука, я не сдамся.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible.
Эта комната уже как родная.
Look,
Сука,
Stanley,
как
I
это
think
же можно
perhaps
вниз
we've gotten
попасть?
off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you... What? Really?
Я туда не пойду.
Of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look,
Да, давай зайдем в красную. Вот
let
тут.
me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Да, да,
Now
да.
listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Да, давай.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to
Блядь,
be
эта
happy?
концовка уже была.
The problem is
Это уже была. Сука.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, куда можно еще пойти, куда я не знаю. Вот здесь начинается...
Stanley came to a set of two
Давай пойдем
doors.
сразу в
He entered
конференц-зал.
the door on his left.
Я открыл недостижимое! Серьезно! Я гуглил эту хрень. Это достижение, оно рандомно спамнится, и в каких-то определенных условиях оно, возможно, тебе выдастся. И типа каждый раз, когда игра обновляется, это достижение, короче, меняется. И я каким-то боком, блядь, его получил. Это охуенно. Я просто недавно смотрел самые сложно достижимые ачивки. Я тупо ее сейчас получил максимально. Конечно, хакеры взломали эту игру спустя, по-моему, года 3 и
Yet
смогли
there was not a single person here
ачивку эту всем подряд раздавать. Но я получил ее честно.
disbelief. Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping
Где достижение?
he might find an answer there.
Кладовочка, да, здесь у нас? Так, ладно. Идем вниз.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Сюда залезть. По-моему, сейчас меня...
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Бля, вечное
For
перемещение.
example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts.
Бля, какая сложная хрень.
All very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams. The truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress,
Сопротивление матрицы на спине.
the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Грустная концовочка. Да. Эх.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так. У меня просто уже нет идей, что делать. Серьезно.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Да, я вон вижу этот офис, ну нахрен его.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Стоп, если там дверь закрылась, там может что-то было? Сука. Как много непонятного.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner?
Ты не Стэнли.
Stanley, you're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely.
Я уже её сломал.
It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having
Суки, не
a
дают
bad
ничего
snack
сделать.
and crack."
И субтитры пропали. Вообще ничего не понятно. Практика. О, практика, давай.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices
8 выборов в день.
Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Ладно, пошли. О, меня спустят вниз? Мне ничего не поставили ограждение. Серьезно, мне поставили ограждение. Вы чё?
choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Уверен? По-моему, здесь заглушку можно снять. Нет, не могу. Уверены? Почему я не могу открыть? Сука, дай сдохнуть мне. Ах. То есть это типа все, мне сейчас дадут прямо отправиться в мир Стэнли по... Не хочу. Вообще не дают выборов. Бля.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Не хочу я.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stenli would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stenli came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Не-не, что-то есть. Ха-ха-ха.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way.
Да ладно тебе, не злись.
To shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Нет! Стоп, выключить? Бля.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now here we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stenli? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
Да, я ребенок.
Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stenli would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stenli came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Бля, как же хочется, ну мне уже его жалко. Я над ним так издевался уже на протяжении часа. Просто всеми возможными способами. Ладно, захожу я. Вы не говорите, что это будет обычная история? Серьезно, просто история началась.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stenli decided to go up to his boss's office. hoping he might find an answer there.
Нет, что-то другое, по-моему. Да, я не могу вниз
Staircase,
спуститься.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Надо было сломать ее. О. О.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Night Shark 115. Не про канала. Night Shark. Night Shark. Night Shark. Сука.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115.
Да не могу я
He
говорю.
spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Night Shark. Как что-то сказать? Чат. Night Shark.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Сука, ты издеваешься надо мной, блядь, теперь, да, за то, что я типа... Бля, в следующий раз пойду не в правильную дверь.
Fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
А то есть голос вот так меня видит, что ли, сверху? Или что, я голос? Я бы тоже, если бы был таким голосом сверху и наблюдать за человеком, чтобы освободиться, надо провести его, я бы тоже такой, сука, блядь, я тебе говорю, куда идти.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ой, врезался.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Все
Perhaps he
правильно.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Да. Поехали к моей
I
жене.
think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Да, изи.
This
Ладно.
is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her
Тут можно ему
back into
на
your
мозги
life.
покапать и типа это
She's
уйти?
been waiting.
Нельзя, ладно, все потыкал.
That's her, Stanley.
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Ох ты говню. Кто хотел
I'm trying to make
проводить?
a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Сука, охуеть. Вот говнина.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Нажмите 5 на клавиатуре.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Вот хуй тебе.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One
Сука.
might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Нажмите М, чтобы смотреть ТВ.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Поиграть с сыном.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Бля, я все это время не включил, блядь. Пиздец. Серьезно. Бля.
As he wandered through this fantasy world,
Сколько я?
he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls, and down another was a yellow line that weaved in many
Печальная хуйня сейчас произошла.
directions, and down another was a game with a baby, and he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Чтобы пойти спать. Стопудово. Вот я уверен. Дальше будет что-то вроде нажмите X, чтоб умереть.
He's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
Пожалуйста, умрите. Ладно.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the...
Когда час ходишь по одному и тому же кабинету, уже как-то с ума сходить начинаешь. И я толком ничего интересного не нашел. Вообще ничего, так грустно.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Сука, нет! Бля, не получилось. А такой план был. Планище просто.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, oh, no. It's to the right. No.
Ебать.
Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Нет. Есть что-нибудь еще? Дайте мне вариант. Дайте мне варианты. Дайте мне, блядь, варианты. А, сука, это ебанутая...
This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now.
Это долбаная линия, которая вечно длится просто.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the
Ну давайте его послушаем наконец-то. Что ты нам дашь?
Just a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
О. Вы серьезно, ничего не дадут? Дайте. О, желтая надпись. Bathroom. Ладно.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley
А я
was
смогу
once
раньше
again
написать?
stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Типа я раньше подбежал. Ладно, понял.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Спокойно говорите. Вот сюда хочу, тут что-то есть. Ну бля, ну нельзя же делать проход и ничего там не дать. Я не верю, что Стэнли Парабл так может. Точно. Ай, долбаные скрипты. Никакой свободы действия.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ну да. А у меня выбора нет. А, я могу уйти, наверное, да? Не могу, ладно.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Сурово. Интересно, эти все комнаты реально существуют или нет?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
И поэтому я сейчас их слепо принимаю, да?
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
По, мы можем ее включить. В этом что-нибудь еще есть? Пошлите, пойдем на кнопочки потыкаем. Ладно. Давайте все это уничтожим. Может, потом как-нибудь включим, будем контролировать мир и так далее. Но пока мы двигаемся тупо по сюжету.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not
я
been to
двигаться могу.
understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to
Какая большая дверь.
whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Эх, красотища какая.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Игра пройдена. Ну да, логично, типа, пройти игру. Когда я, бегал абсолютно не по правилам. Суицидался там, все делал, но главное, не проходил игру. Так.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on. When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Давайте будем полностью непослушными. Прям до конца. Даже шанса ему не дадим никакого. Тупо непослушный.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Хочу вниз. Вот вниз хочу, прям не могу.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been... What? Really?
Да, так могу я.
Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Нет.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Нет.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Эх, нет.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
По-моему, это уже было.
There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you?
Да.
I think I put a lot of time into that because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly
Он
candid,
заебал.
I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a
Серьезно.
look.
1,5 часа в эту хуйню играть, это перебор. Stenli Parable. Ну ладно. Если в эту дверь зайду. Ну насрать уже, да?
Would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. If he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Я понял. Давайте с вами сделаем паузу, во-первых. Во-вторых, я вам звук немного убавлю, потому что пиздец. И продолжим играть. Ну, он все-таки старался. Вы нихуя не слышите? Вы нихуя не слышите? Ну, это адски больно, блядь. Был человек, который 4 часа в эту хуйню играл. Сука, сдохни, блядь. Гондонище. Пиздец. Вообще невозможно в эту хуйню играть. Бля, я перезапустил. Эй, сука. Ну вот это талантище, блядь.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Каждый раз какие-то новые, крутые.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Конечно.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay.
Последняя попытка. Вот. Просто игра.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section,
Что
walked straight
предложит
ahead
нам?
to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, Hoping he might coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ебать, она открылась. Чего? But you, of course, would... Что тут написано? Ничего не понимаю. Блин, я тупой. А теперь она не откроется, да? Нет, открывается, ладно. Может, ты тоже откроешься? Ебать, они открылись, чё? Чего? Пошли сюда. Лифт. Поохуенно. А я могу выбрать? Я могу выбрать либо вверх, либо вниз. Давай, поехали наверх. Релаксная вообще пипец. А, типа это просто зайти музыку послушать? Ну, бля. Грустно. Блин, я так сюда хотел попасть, а оказалось, что тут ничего нету.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Чего? Ладно. Я первым делом все равно зайду туда. Может, теперь там что-то откроется. Нет, не открылось. Печально, ладно. То, что мы теперь можем пропускать вот эту долбанную касцену, это вообще офигенно. Ну как касцену, это долгий диалог. А если мы опять пройдем его правильно, типа, он что нам скажет? Типа, ну ты меня заебал, нахрена.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
А что сейчас он типа нормально
What
говорит?
secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Если мне не хватит узнать храбрости, это можно как-то...
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Ну вот и доказательство.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ну, ладно. Пошли включим его.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Чего? Я могу
These are
нажать.
precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you, running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button.
Синяя тройка, в смысле синяя тройка? Это что?
Something here will save me.
То есть я мог все это время что-то делать?
That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Щуки.
Desperately to your frail life. Or will you let it go? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me.
Тут был выход, а я его не видел, что ли, или как? Ой, как трясет. И на этом прекрасном моменте мы с вами заканчиваем, когда нас взорвали к хуям. Да, это конец вроде. Да, все, на этом давайте заканчиваем.